Hello class, this is a review, just a partial review for exam number 3 for Math 1440. Don't forget to try those questions from our website for more exam 3 review, and you can also see the answers from that website, math.unm.edu/tilde-Kevin B. Okay, so I got 3 problems here already solved, so I'll just explain what I did. So the first question is find the value of the constant k such that f of x equals k times 4 minus x on the interval 0 to 4 is a PDF, probability distribution function. So since we're told it's a PDF, that means if I take the integral of this function on the interval 0 to 4, we must get 1. So that's what I started off. So for our solution, we know the integral from 0 to 4, because that was our given interval, of k times 4 minus x dx is equal to 1. And we know that since we are told we have a PDF. We don't have to show us a PDF for this problem because they tell us it's a PDF. Probability, distribution, or density function. Okay, so let's evaluate this integral and set it equal to 1. I pulled out that constant k first. So k times the integral from 0 to 4 of 4 minus x dx is equal to 1. And then I just integrated this 4 minus x, because the integral of this is going to be 4x minus the integral of x dx is x squared over 2. So here's what I wrote next. K times, and then the integration is going to come out to be, as I said, 4x minus x squared over 2. And then we evaluate it from 0 to 4, and that must equal 1. Okay, so let's do the evaluation. So when I input the 4 first, I get k times 16 minus 8 minus, and then when I input the lower limit of integration of 0, I get 0 minus 0, and that must equal 1. So let's solve this equation for k. So inside the bracket, 16 minus 8 is 8, and then 8 minus 0 is still 8. So I should have k times 8 is equal to 1. And then to solve for k, divide each side by 8 to get k is equal to 1/8. So k equals 1/8. That's our final answer. You can just stop right there. That's the value of k. So notice if I input k into the original problem, the integral from 0 to 4 of 1/8 times 4 minus x dx, if you do that integral, you will get 1, which makes it a probability distribution function. Remember, there's 2 things about a probability distribution function. The integral is going to equal 1, meaning the area is 1. And then the other thing we know is that the integral from 0 to 4 of 1/8 times this 4 minus x dx will always be greater than or equal to 0. And we know that's true because k is positive, and as long as x goes from 0 to 4, this integral will always be positive or 0. Okay, let's go to the second problem. We want to find the derivative of f of x equals this product. Think of that as x squared times cosine x. So we're going to use the product rule for this derivative. Okay, so here's our solution. F prime of x equals, so I want the first x squared times the derivative of the second. Well, the derivative of cosine x is minus sine x. And then it's going to be plus the second, which is cosine x, times the derivative of the first. And the derivative of x squared is 2x. Okay. And now all I did was I just simplified. I put this negative in front, so I get negative x squared sine x plus, and then I put the 2x in front. It looks nicer that way. And we're done. I mean, I could pull out an x, but it's unnecessary. I would just stop right there. So there is our derivative. F prime of x is equal to that. And now for our final problem. We want to evaluate this definite integral. So whenever you want to find a definite integral, the first step is just to find the indefinite integral, or the antiderivative, whatever you want to say, same thing. So let's just focus, let's not worry about those limits from 0 to pi over 2 until the end. So first, let's just do the integral, the indefinite integral of sine 2x minus cosine 3x dx. So the integral of sine 2x is going to be minus cosine 2x over 2. So remember, the derivative of sine is cosine, but the integral of sine is negative cosine. So I did the shortcut here. The integral of sine 2x is minus cosine 2x over 2. if you don't like that shortcut, you can find this integral by letting u equal 2x. So do that u substitution, and you'll get this same answer. Okay, and then minus, and then the integral of cosine 3x is sine 3x over 3 for the antiderivative. Okay, so now that we have an antiderivative, let's go back to the original problem. So the integral from 0 to pi over 2 of the given problem, sine 2x minus cosine 3x dx equals, and what you do is you write down your answer that we just got from the indefinite integral, and now we're going to evaluate it from 0 to pi over 2. So I would suggest you have that sheet, that unit circle sheet. I wrote some of the sheet right here. So let me just review what this means. For example, okay, I'll get to there in a second. Okay, so now what you want to do is wherever you always start off with the upper limit, wherever you see an x, you're going to write pi over 2. So this is now going to equal the negative cosine of pi over 2, because if x is pi over 2, what's 2 times pi over 2? The 2's cancel, you just get pi. So that's where that pi came from. Minus the sine of, when x is pi over 2, what's 3 times pi over 2? 3 pi over 2. And then it's all over 3. Minus, and now we input the zeros. So be careful here. When you input zeros, that doesn't automatically make these terms equal to 0, as we're going to see. So when I input 0, 2 times 0 is 0. So this is going to be negative cosine of 0 over 2. So I got minus, and then negative cosine 0 over 2. And then similarly, minus sine 0 over 3. So at this point, you want to use your unit circle sheet to evaluate what these trig functions are equal to. So I want to know, what is the cosine of pi, for example? So here's part of the unit circle sheet. When the angle theta is equal to pi, then the cosine of pi is always given by the x-coordinate, which is -1. So that's why for cosine of pi, I replaced it with -1. You look at the x-coordinate of the point where the terminal side is equal to theta equals pi. Terminal side of the angle is pi. Okay, minus, and now what's the sine of 3 pi over 2? It's going to be a -1, and then don't forget to write it over the 3. So the sine of 3 pi over 2 is a -1. Here's why. If you look, when the angle is 3 pi over 2, you always start from the positive x-axis. You're going to rotate to 3 pi over 2. So at 3 pi over 2, the sine of that angle is going to equal the y-coordinate, which is -1. Okay, so that's where I got that -1. And then similarly, you're going to get, for cosine of 0, that's going to be 1. But because of this negative sign, don't forget to rewrite that negative sign. So it's going to be -1. But then we're dividing that whole thing by 2, so over 2. Minus, and the sine of 0 is 0. So 0 over 3 is just 0. So that's why I wrote 0 there. And then you just simplify. Minus a -1 over 2 is a positive 1/2. Minus a negative means plus the 1/3. And when I distribute that negative in the parentheses, I get a plus 1/2 plus 0, which you don't have to write. And then 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. 1 plus 1/3 is 1 1/3, or 4/3 as an improper fraction. Okay, so that's it for today. And again, the test is going to be on Tuesday. I wrote you an email about that. All right, good night, everyone.